I love the internet. But what the heck happened to it? It used to be a place to connect with friends and to learn about new music and just a place to be quirky and weird with people just like you. But now it's all a hot mess. If I go to X, all I see are angry political rants, ghost-ridden hustle porn, dumb memes, and yes, an adult entertainment star who's trying to break a very strange record. So in this video, I try to understand why the most extreme take dominates the feed. What happens when we become inundated with AI-generated slop, and how you can be a human online. So let's first start with Twitter, or X. I think that you can't talk about the internet without being political, but I'm gonna kind of steer away from the political elements. But you take X, right? X has always been this kind of Twitter, this social media network that kind of always sucks in the sense that it has so many less users than anyone else, any other social media network, but it really punches above its weight in terms of that's where news breaks. When something happens, people go there. Obviously, with Trump and Musk, and David Sachs, these loud megaphones can really, shape new administrations, right? A lot of the new administration has made a voice for itself on X, even though X I bet a lot of you listening to this aren't even on it, right? And it's funny because I love Twitter. Actually, I kind of refuse to call it X. I love Twitter. In the old days, Twitter used to be, this is what was so great about Twitter, was Facebook was where your friends were at. Instagram was where your aesthetic was at, like how you looked and what your food looked like. And then Twitter was for people who shared your interest, right? So it was the knowledge graph. If you cared about coding or music or the NBA or jujitsu, it was the place that kind of funneled all of the interests there. And now Twitter and everything, all the social media platforms have moved towards this algorithmic feed, right? TikTok pioneered this, the FYP, the For You page, where it just tries to guess. All the social media networks just try to guess what you're interested in and shows you the thing that it thinks you want, not the people who you follow. So how does that impact something like Twitter? And so I go on Twitter now and I love Twitter. I made so many good friends. Many of you listening are friends from Twitter. You go into Twitter now and it's just a hot mess. So usually it's some like angry political thing. Again, this is the algorithm's trying to guess what I think I want to see. Angry political thing, a bunch of memes. And then there's this, she keeps showing up, this adult, there's two of them, these adult entertainers. One is named Lily Phillips, and the other is named Bonnie Blue. And I promise you that I'm not on Twitter giving any signals for adult entertainers. I am looking for coding things. I am looking for productivity stuff. I'm looking for, money conversations, but adult entertainment is definitely not why I'm on Twitter. And so there's these two women, one in particular, I think it's Bonnie Blue, and she shows up every couple days, and her goal was to sleep with 1,000 men in 24 hours. And she's got this kind of like girl next door. She's British, girl next door look. And it was like they would interview her mother. They'd interview her. They'd interview one of the men. It was just fucking weird. I was like, I have no interest in seeing this. But here's what happens. And this is this question of like, what the hell is happening to the internet is most outrageous wins, right? Hey, quick time out. If you're watching this video, you're probably someone who thinks deeply and intentionally about your career, about your life, and about your relationships. But sometimes you might find yourself in a place feeling stuck, unmotivated, or just rudderless. If that's you, we have a coaching program for people looking to make a bold pivot and rediscover their aliveness. Just check out radreads.co/coaching. Now back to the video. Remember that phase when everyone started, all musicians, I mean, mostly male musicians, started getting face tattoos, and Amanda Bynes as well. they started getting face tattoos. Like started with like Post Malone, probably like the most prolific one. But then there were a bunch of rappers, Lil Pump, Lil Zane. I mean, I guess the original face tattoo is Mike Tyson in pop culture. But everyone started to get face tattoos. There's a rapper named Tekashi 6ix9ine, and then it just like everyone has face tattoos, and like it stopped being interesting, right? It's almost like a certain type of music you're kind of expected to have a face tattoo. So you couldn't even stand out with a face tattoo. So then you had to go a step further, sleep with 1,000 men, or be so angry about this, or conspiracy theory of that. And it's just leading to this the For You page where the algorithms try to guess what you want to watch really messes the internet. By the way, let's be honest, the internet, I'd say at least 50% of the way a civilian interacts with the internet is through social media, right? I mean, we go to web pages, we read the news, but even the news is, being screenshot. I follow Axios on Instagram, and they just literally take their stories and screenshot them, and they place them as a carousel. And I'm more likely to read the news on Axios because it just finds me versus me going out to like go look for it. So the FYP page is this philosophy, kind of followers don't matter anymore. And you're just kind of served the most like outragey and controversial thing. So that's like an interesting thing that's happening. And it has a lot of ramifications because it leads to the next question is, well, AI, right? AI content, AI slop. Right? So you have, the first problem is like tons of outrage, right? You even see this on LinkedIn. I saw this LinkedIn post, which had millions of views, and it was a woman teaching like Python or some programming language. And she showed how many people watched her videos on OnlyFans and how many people watch her video on YouTube. And it was like 8x. And she was just teaching coding lessons. But people were like, why are you posting this on LinkedIn? So again, it's like that. Outrage, even for coding, you need some kind of outrage to break through the noise. All right. So first principle, tons of outrage. Second principle is AI generated slop. Right. It has never been easier to create mediocre content using AI. And by the way, it's getting easier to create very good. This is written content for now. And so let's play that. So you already see just like all these social media networks are just bombarded. There's just so much stuff. Now you inject AI into it, and it's even more stuff. Now that it still hasn't crossed the uncanny valley where you can kind of get a sense, but I'll tell you, I've been working on some of the AI stuff, and it's actually pretty easy to tweak, to fine tune, to upload your voice. Like you can recreate your voice pretty well. Like, again, I'm not out here trying to just remove myself from existence, but it's definitely a powerful tool to use, and it's getting there. And I think that soon, very, very soon, AI will write in our voice extremely well. On a side note on AI, there's even this thing now where you can upload a bunch of videos of yourself, and then you can just generate a script, and then the video of yourself is talking that script, and it looks pretty good. I think you can still tell. But think about that. Imagine, think about this workflow cycle. Let's say you want to, what's something I have an expertise in? I have expertise in changing careers, leaving a high-paying job. I could have an entire interaction with ChatGPT about all the steps, all the frameworks, all the principles, all the questions to ask yourself, exercises and all that. And it would be really good. I mean, I would review it and all that. I'd interact with it. That's kind of the new skill of interacting with AI. And then let's say it produced like 25 pages of content, 10 hours of ideas, right? I could then take those 10 hours of ideas and feed it to my AI video avatar, which by the way, I haven't done this yet, but it looks really good. And then it could just teach the course. And some people have done this, and they've said that people know that it's AI, but there's a legitimate transfer of value that it makes them more interested, that they don't care. They don't care that it's AI. They just, you have information. I want to receive the information. I want to get smarter. I know it's AI. I don't care. And so just, again, we are heading into this world, right? So there's the AI, there's the outrage and the extreme stuff to get your attention. Then there's just like noise of just slop, but that's getting better. And so we're just going to continue to be inundated with information. So then what happens next? This is where TikTok actually is interesting. One of my themes, this is why TikTok is interesting, because if you look at TikTok, I really enjoy TikTok. I have my own issues about, where our data is going and more how misinformation can spread on that channel, more so than in other channels. But what I love about TikTok is you would just see these like really shitty quality videos. Like someone would be talking and the lighting would be bad. They wouldn't have a mic. You'd hear cars honking in the background of New York City while they were talking. But the thing that was wonderful about TikTok was that the level of authenticity was so high. Like it felt really, really human because it was rough, because it wasn't well edited, because the lighting sucked, because you could hear noise in the background. And I'm like actually legit sad. I don't know as of today if TikTok's going to be banned, but I'm legit sad that it's definitely changed since the guardrails went up in January. But what TikTok to me showed was this kind of canary in the coal mine that human-ness is something that people really value. People really value human-ness, right? And it was always the thing that there was always how people would knock Instagram. It's like, people take 100 shots to get that one perfect picture. Well, in TikTok, people would record one take and post it, and you got the human version of it, right? And so if you think about everything, so we started with outrage, then there's just commodification of content, both definitely in text, but it's coming in video as well. And so then you want like the human piece of it, right? Where does humanity sit in all of this, right? Someone said there's this guy Peter Levels, who's kind of an indie hacker, which means he just does a bunch of little side projects, a one-person company. And he said, what's the thing that AI can't replicate? It's shit posting. Right? Shitposting is like this kind of mix of humor and trolling and sarcasm and memes. It's like very personality based. Like it would be hard to see an AI and referencing the zeitgeist, it would be hard to see an AI be really good at shitposting. Right? So again, this like trend towards humanness is interesting. And now let's talk about AI, right? I will share why I've basically been doing like 5-6 hours of AI a day since January. But let's just talk about AI in terms of how it's impacting the internet, right? I don't know about you, but I don't use Google anymore, Google search. Like I don't use it. And I have a little roster where if I want current events, I go to Perplexity, like things that update quickly. Sports, like why did Luka get traded? If I want like to learn something, I'll go to ChatGPT. And if I want like a more human touch, mostly for my coaching work, I go to Claude. Claude, which is Anthropic. I found that Claude is more more softer. It feels more human. ChatGPT, I think, is amazing. Like the ease of use. I've been talking to ChatGPT a lot, and like so I'll be in my car and I'll say, "Hey, I want to learn about the genocide in Cambodia," and starts talking. I'm like, "Wait, say that point again. Go deeper down this point." But the long story short, it's I barely use Google search anymore. I write a blog. No one reads my blog anymore. But I found out that I actually show up in some AI search, like in some AI queries around changing careers and psychology of money. It was just like, again, it's interesting to see the shift. So we're just not using the web anymore the way we used to, because a lot of that's moving into the AI native apps. We're not, social media is kind of this weird place, the adult entertainers and the memes and lots of angry political stuff. And so what does that mean for like the intersection of AI? Does like AI become this kind of new personalized app store? Like I use projects in Claude and in ChatGPT. So I'm learning how to make music. I have a learn to make music project. You can almost think of it as a bot. It has all the context. It knows my favorite artists. It knows my DJ setup. It knows my music setup. It knows all this thing. And I just ask it music questions to this very specific project. I never use Google search for that, right? So are we migrating over into a world where you're going to have these, right now they're calling them agents. I kind of think of them as apps, almost like the app store, where you're like, oh, I talk to this thing when I have a question about music. I talk to this thing for productivity. Sometimes I use my voice. Sometimes I type. Sometimes it goes into my email and it pulls information out. Like all of this stuff is just, it's just shifting so fast. I think it's fascinating. I mean, I've always been obsessed with the internet since Usenet groups in 1996 on 14.4 baud modems, and now it's like a kid in a candy store. I'm excited about it, and so that leads me to share. I want to share with y'all why I've been so excited about AI. So I think that my professional career is pretty much very tethered to the internet, but I would say at this point, whose is not. And I have spent, I wasn't a big AI person in 2024. And I was basically using it wrong. My friend Nate, he would always tell me, he's like, you're using AI like Google. And I would just be like, give me a good recipe for tacos, or, what's the best season of The Sopranos, right? Literally like Google search, which by the way, I use Perplexity for now. But something flipped. And so I couldn't find like the right use cases for it, right? I don't have to reason a lot, like debating different theories. I don't have complex business needs. I don't need it for like accounting, things like that. But what really tipped it for me was AI-based coding. And I know you're probably like, what the F? What does this have to do with anything? You're not a coder, you're a writer, you're a coach. And to me, so to step back, there's this app, there's a few of them, but the main ones that people talk about are Cursor, Replit, VO, and Bolt. And basically what they do is I believe these are called wrappers, but they basically sit on all these same models and you can query them. But they write code for you. But unlike just writing code in ChatGPT, you'd still have to like, let's say you wrote code in ChatGPT, it would give you this like thing you could copy and paste, but code isn't like a Word document. You can't just like copy and paste code into a Word document and then it works. There's all these little implementation things like a server and dependencies and GitHub and version control and packets and Node and all this other stuff. So you can't just do that. And I always got stuck with it. But now these wrappers like Cursor is the one, cursor.com is the one that I'm using. Now you could literally go in and say, make me a website. I'm a nonprofit, make me a website. And just like you hit enter and just like, boom, 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 like it does the dependencies, it does this. And then like, oh, we have an error. You highlight the error and you say, hey, it's giving me this error. Like, oh, okay, I see we forgot to do this. Blah, 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 blah. I shit you not. Like I built a website for my friend and we made it live in 75 minutes. And it looked awesome. You can send it screenshots, make it look like this. So obviously like making websites, that's one thing. That's cool. And a very specific use case. I hate the radreads.co website. And in fact, I'm trying to switch it over to khehy.com. And I had budgeted this year $20,000 to do that. It's a pretty complex. It's 10 years of blogging. It's 589 blog posts, 375 images, a lot of different layers of things. But I wanted to do a full teardown, right? I didn't want to just give it, if you use a house analogy, I didn't want to just give it a fresh paint of coat and change a bathroom. I wanted to fucking tear that thing down to the studs and rebuild it the way I want to do. I want to be more interactive. I want it to be fast. I want it to have different pop-ups. I want it to be flexible. I want it to use some of this new AI stuff. I want to have sliders on it. I want to have graphs, things like that. So I wanted to tear it down. And so I had earmarked 3 months of work, like of interacting with a development agency, and $20,000. I did it myself. I don't have the background information. I'm 90% done. You all will see it soon. It took me about 2 weeks using this app called Cursor. And by the way, I learned Cursor by taking this course by my friend Nat Eliason called Build Your Own Apps, which I'll link in the description. I am an affiliate on that, but I literally have been coding 5 hours a day because of that. So, okay, so you're like, okay, cool, but like not everyone needs a website. No. Think about any problem you have, right? I mean, software to me is just helping people solve their problems. So to-do list solves the problem of helping someone become more productive. A journaling app solves the problem of helping someone become more introspective. A dieting app solves the problem of someone trying to lose weight. Now, anybody has access to that. I'm in the business of solving problems. I solve problems through writing, right? Like you're like, hey, I'm thinking of quitting my job. Like, well, Kay's written 50 blog posts about that. I solve problems through coaching, group coaching, one-on-one coaching, radreads.co/coaching. That's a more intimate way of solving problems. I solve problems through teaching pre-recorded courses. And now I can add software to that. Fucking hey, you can add software to that. You can add writing to that. You can add video to that. Right? You could do a deep dive right now. What does it take to become an excellent manager? You could use Perplexity. You could use the $200 version of ChatGPT that does like literally like full-on research. You could use regular ChatGPT. You'd use Claude to make it sound like your voice. You could then upload it to that video. You could then get AI to buy ads for you on Instagram, whatever, Twitter, YouTube. You could do all that. You can do it. You who I had no coding experience. Right? That blows my mind. That is so freaking exciting. And that's why this was not on my bingo card to be spending 5 or 6 hours a day coding in AI. But that's why is for that example. Like, I think I'm going to build that app for first-time managers. Not even an app, some kind of knowledge base. And then I'm going to sell it. Something I care about. It's a problem that I know needs to be solved. It's a solution that I want to see in the world. I have unique curation and experience, right? I have been a manager. I know how to make videos. I know how to use AI. Like, I could put that whole fucking package together and it's going to be awesome. And I just thought about this morning. What does this look like in 6 months? What does this look like in 12 months, right? You already have, in the $200 version, which I'm about to buy, you have 2 new features. One is this feature called Operator, where you can go in and get like the AI to click a screen for you. So you can say, find me all of the cheapest flights to Japan that only leave in the morning from LAX direct and have available aisle seats. And I'm like, click, you can literally watch it, move your mouse, click, 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 sends you a report. Super clunky from what I've heard, but that's V0, right? Remember ChatGPT a year and a half ago? That thing, it wasn't that great. It was cool, but it wasn't that great. That's one. Then the other thing in ChatGPT is Pro, the $200 version, is the research thing where they can go in. So you can ask it to do research on what does it take to become a great manager. And then you can go in and it will like go through all the academic papers in the world. Like, what the fuck? Lastly, though, I think that there's going to be a premium. Like when all this stuff is automatable, there's going to be a different premium. And that premium is going to be on humanness. It's going to be on in-person. It's going to be on jokes. It's going to be on humor. It's going to be on empathy. It's going to even be in like things like physical, like touch, right? Like maybe like a hug will be at a premium, right? When you're getting so much stuff through these bots and agents and wrappers, God, sometimes you're just going to want a hug from a human, right? And so that kind of wraps, that's kind of how I'm seeing the world now. It's like, how can I be the most fucking human version of me? And how can I do all this cool automation stuff? That gets me super excited. Thanks for listening. If you made it this far, do check out my friend's class, Build Your Own Apps. Link is in the description and the show notes.